How on earth was this movie rated PG? Like, were the 80s just a lawless time? I am currently obsessed with 80s dark fantasy, so I've been trying to consume as much of it as possible. Movies, books, video games, all of it. And I decided to kick off the movie portion of this with a film called Dragonslayer. This movie came out in 1981, and it was directed by Matthew Robbins. The movie centers around a 6th century kingdom called Erland, which is being terrorized by a 400-year-old dragon named Vermithrax Pejorative. What a name! To appease the dragon, the king has come up with this wonderful plan to offer it 2 virgins a year which are selected by lottery. The film opens with an expedition going out to find the last sorcerer in order to bring him back, have him unalive the dragon so that all of this can stop. But unfortunately, that sorcerer gets stabbed. So his apprentice, Galen, our protagonist, takes up his master's magical necklace and sets off to get rid of the dragon. Which is interesting because the director actually got the idea for this movie from the Sorcerer's Apprentice sequence in Fantasia. Now, there's actually a lot about this movie that I like. For one, the look and feel of the movie is dark and gritty and grim, which is just one of the reasons I think it is wild that this film was rated PG. Because along with just the overall atmosphere, there is so much violence in this movie. People are getting burned alive. We watch as a baby dragon eats a woman's foot off. At one point, we see Galen from behind, fully naked. And sure, it's only for a split second, but it could be longer if you choose to pause that scene, which you might. And I haven't even mentioned how absolutely terrifying the dragon is. I cannot imagine seeing this movie as a child and not having nightmares. And I actually say that as a positive because the dragon being that scary is a huge credit to the special effects of this film. In fact, 25% of the movie's budget actually went into making the dragon, and it shows. And not only does the dragon look amazing, but the way that they slowly introduce you to the dragon also gives you this wonderful sense of dread, which I really enjoyed. And even once it's fully revealed, it's still scary. Flying through the air towards the end of the film, I was reminded of something out of Jeepers Creepers. Now, that's not to say that this is a perfect or even a great movie. By today's standards, the film does feel very slow at times, though for me, that can be forgiven. What can't be forgiven is the very messy third act. Part of this comes from the fact that Galen starts as a very overconfident youngster and never really learns to not be that way. At one point, he does break down a little bit and admit that he's lost his way, but that scene feels incredibly unearned because there's nothing before or after it to really show that he's grown or changed in any way. And unfortunately, Galen isn't even the one who really overcomes the dragon in the end, making his entire character feel somewhat unnecessary, which is not great considering he's the protagonist. Still, the film does have its moments. I really liked the way that it approaches and discusses class privilege. I think the overall design and tone and look of the film are really good. And I also think the film has some really interesting things to say about religion in the face of disaster. I also really liked the character of Valerian, who is a girl passing as a boy to avoid the lottery. This allows the film to play with gender in an interesting, albeit sometimes flawed way. Though I will say, as soon as she starts presenting as a woman, her and Galen have a romantic thing, and it's pretty cringe. Not that rating a 45-year-old movie really matters, but if I had to rate it, I would give it a 3 out of 5. And at least 2 of those stars are for the dragon. I really liked the dragon. This is the first time I'm doing a dark fantasy movie review, so I'm curious to hear if you'd like to see more of these, and what movies do you think I should watch next? Please feel free to give me your best and worst 80s dark fantasy recommendations.